What if you could actually see an emotion the moment it's born? Well, today we're going to do pretty much that. We're going on a journey, tracing a single feeling all the way from a tiny spark in our own brains to a line of code in an AI. It's going to be a wild ride. You know that feeling, right? That sudden, overwhelming wave of an emotion that just takes over. But what is that, really? What's going on under the hood? Is it a chemical thing? A thought? Well, we're going to break it down, starting right at the source, our neurons. So first stop, the hardware. We're going to shrink way, way down and take a trip inside the human brain to find the very source code of our feelings.
Okay, so think of your brain as having two key players in this whole emotion game. First up, you've got the amygdala. This thing is like a super sensitive hair trigger smoke detector. It's constantly scanning for danger and ready to blast the alarm. Then you have the prefrontal cortex. This is the manager, the cool, calm air traffic controller that gets the alarm, looks at the situation, and decides what to actually do. And this whole process has a name. It's called cognitive reappraisal. It's happening all the time, thousands of times a day. So the amygdala fires off a raw, unfiltered emotion, let's say a jolt of fear. The prefrontal cortex immediately steps in, intercepts that signal, and basically asks, hold on, is this really a threat? It reframes the context. It realizes that loud bang wasn't a gunshot, it was just a car backfiring. And by doing that, it actively dials down the intensity of that initial alarm. It's literally a conversation happening inside your head between instinct and intellect. So, that's the brain's automatic process, right? But here's the big question. Can we get involved? Can we consciously upgrade our own emotional software? Get better at managing that dialogue between the alarm and the manager? The answer, it turns out, is a resounding yes. And that takes us from automatic reactions to a skill, something we can actually practice and improve. We're zooming out from the brain's wiring now to see how we can become the masters of our own emotional worlds. This brings us to a really crucial concept, emotional intelligence, or EI for short. And look, this isn't some vague, fluffy idea. It's a real, measurable capacity. It's about being able to recognize what you're feeling and why, knowing how to manage those feelings, and then using all that information to guide how you act and interact with other people. The best part? It's not something you're just born with. It's a skill you can learn. And as you can see here, EA isn't just one single thing. It's a whole collection of different abilities. You can think of it like a toolkit for life, really. It covers everything from your own happiness and self-control to your empathy for others and how you build relationships, the whole shebang. So what's the payoff for building up this skill? Well, the research is pretty clear. Having a high EI gives you some serious real-world advantages. They're practically emotional superpowers, especially when it comes to mental health. Let's just look at the raw data for a second. Studies show a pretty significant negative correlation between emotional intelligence and stress. Now that number, negative 0.38, is just a statistician's way of saying there's a really clear link. As your EI goes up, your perceived stress goes way down. It's a powerful, measurable effect. And get this, the link with depression is even stronger, a negative correlation of 0.45. That tells us that higher emotional intelligence acts like a really robust shield against the symptoms of depression. Simply put, being better at understanding and managing your feelings is a cornerstone of your mental well-being. Now, on the flip side, there's a strong positive link between EI and resilience. A correlation of plus 0.45 shows that the better you are at handling your emotions, the better you are at bouncing back when things get tough. It's literally what helps you get through adversity. Okay, so let's pause here. This is the crucial turning point. We understand the biology in our brains, and we know we can develop it as a skill in our minds. So what's the next great frontier? Can we take everything we know about this deeply, profoundly human experience and teach it to a machine? So now we're making a massive leap from the world of psychology right into computer science. And the goal? To see if an AI can learn to do what we do. Read between the lines and figure out the emotion in a piece of text. So how in the world do you teach a machine about feelings? Well, you give it data, a lot of data. In this case, researchers fed an AI a diet of over 58,000 Reddit comments. And the key is every single one of those comments was already labeled by a human for the specific emotion it was expressing. This was basically the AI's textbook on human feeling. Now, the original dataset was incredibly detailed, with 27 different emotional labels. To make the task even possible for the AI, the researchers simplified them down to the 6 classic basic emotions that the psychologist Paul Ekman first identified: joy, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, and disgust. This gives the AI a clear, manageable framework to start with.
The researchers put 12 different AI models to the test, but one came out as the clear winner. It's called a stacking classifier, and the way it works is pretty cool. Instead of relying on just one AI, it uses a whole team of different models. Then another meta-model acts like a manager, learning from the strengths of each individual model to make a final, much more accurate prediction. It's literally AI teamwork.
So what does this actually look like in practice? The model is built, it's been trained, but can a machine really read the room? Or, in this case, can it read a comment section? Well, here it is in action. A user types, "That was the most disgusting meal I've ever had," and the model nails it, identifying disgust with over 92% confidence. Someone else writes, "I'm really scared about my exam tomorrow," and boom, it picks up fear with almost 96% confidence. It's actually working. And here is the most shocking part of the whole thing. This custom-built model, this little specialized AI, actually outperformed something called EmoBerta, which is a massive, pre-trained model from a huge research group designed for this exact task. It's like a small, local team outperforming a global superstar. It just goes to show you, in the world of AI, bigger isn't always better. Sometimes a focused, custom-built approach wins the day. But okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. AI is still a very, very long way from truly understanding us. I mean, it completely falls apart with sarcasm and irony, where we say the opposite of what we mean. It misses complex, layered emotions, and it can get totally tripped up by slang or context it hasn't seen before. And, of course, it has zero access to our tone of voice, our body language, all the things we humans rely on. As the lead researcher on the project, Maliha Aliaddini said herself, "Emotion detection from text is inherently complex and often challenging, even for humans." And she's right. Think about how often we misunderstand each other's tone in a text message or an email. It's no wonder that teaching a machine to do it perfectly is one of the single biggest challenges in artificial intelligence today.
Which really leaves us with one final big thought. We started this whole journey deep inside our own brains, and we ended up with a machine that's trying its best to learn what it means to feel. As this technology gets better and better, it starts to become a kind of mirror, reflecting our own emotions back at us. And the question is, what will we see when we look into it? What can an artificial intelligence, in its attempt to understand us, ultimately teach us about ourselves?